Well, that was just lovely. Hey guys, welcome to That Pelter Show. VCQ Live, Dan here.
Mick here, hello. Let us know if we're live. We should be live. I just need to press pause on my thing here. All is good.
So,
How is everybody? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Speak Galactic. Hello from Brighton. Hello to Speak Galactic.
the thumbnail should really say it all. Today's show. What an epic win fest from Sir Michael. Yes.
Jolly good. Right.
Jolly good.
Roll call. If you're new, welcome. This is what we call viewer comments and questions live, where Dan and I do a live thing and we answer questions. Mm-hmm. It's all in the title. If you're not new, welcome. You'll know what this is all about. Hello from Belgium, says Bart Hendricks. Hello, Bart. Robin Murphy, also from Belgium. Belgium. Tolk, Birmingham, Alabama. Nova Scotia, says Andy High Tides. Welcome everyone, says BV Ninja. BV, thank you very much for moderating as always.
Yes.
La 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 la. John Lawrence, David Malloy, Mark Sieber, Jerry Long, Carl Longbottom. Hi Carl, how are you?
Hey, Carl.
Victor Green, Christopher Clement, John Channing, Nick DeVries, loads and loads and loads of people on. Chattanooga,
Choo choo.
Tennessee, says Richard Long. Cool, welcome.
Welcome indeed. Already the trousers are getting some love. Yes.
Nice.
Return of the mustard love.
Yeah, Mob Rules 2112 says, does anyone wish these two would produce a music CD? Or two?
I do.
Yeah, I do too.
Shall we discuss that later on?
Yeah, I think we should.
Thank you, Brett Richardson. That's very kind, mate. Brett kicks it off with a super chat. Thanks, buddy. Yes. Oh, this is an interesting one. So BV has just said, welcome everyone. Please like and share. One thing we don't do often enough is ask people to share. So if you feel so inclined, say, hey,
Yep.
these buffoons are out there taking your questions. Yeah. Oh, Dr. Happy says hello from Japan. Hello, Dr. Happy. I wish I was in Tokyo right now.
Mark Holt, Mustard Pants make a triumphant return.
Yes. Well, I had to do something to lift my game. I figure
Yeah.
that this is as a good start as any.
Did you come in the Bentley today?
No, not the Bentley.
Most people that wear mustard trousers drive Bentleys or Range Rovers, I usually
Oh,
find.
okay, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm a long way behind that.
Spider Logan, greetings from Austin. Greetings to Austin. Keep it weird, baby. That's the tagline of Austin.
Keep it weird.
Or stay weird, I think it is.
Okay.
Something like that, yeah. I don't know who made that up, but anyway, it is.
Okay. I'm sure there's a Swindon tagline that includes weird in it, but I don't know what the rest of the sentence is.
Let's not offend anyone from Swindon, shall we?
No, not yet. Okay. Actually, let's start with this one. Manuel Kuhn. Thanks for that, Manuel. He says, why no Q&A podcast anymore?
Oh, God.
It's going to be happening really soon, probably from next week. It's taken a while to get the setup so that we could actually play guitars and some different cameras and some switching between. So I think we've got that sorted out.
Yeah.
So hopefully from next week we'll be able to just take a master output,
record it and
into the podcast.
It's just one more step, which sounds like it would be a unbelievably easy step, but for some reason we seem to be struggling with it. We've got bigger plans as well, so we'll see if they come off.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Phoebus Patil, thanks for that, Phoebus. He says, Mick, on last week's show, you said PRS and Fender Custom Shop produced the same number of guitars. I checked it out. PRS produce 45 cool guitars a day, and Fender Custom Shop make between 25 and 100 guitars in a batch. Very interesting.
Yes, I said I thought the Custom Shop produced more guitars than PRS.
Right.
Is what I said. Not the same, but yeah, it's been. It could just be one of those old wives' tales, bit of urban folklore,
Okay.
all that kind of stuff. But I have heard it said by people who should know. So
Right.
yeah,
Very
That's
interesting.
as much as I know.
Wow. If they're making that many Custom Shop guitars a day, how many regular guitars are they making a day? It must be crazy numbers.
Insane numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Martin and Taylor were even when I left, guitar magazines were making over 100,000 guitars a year each.
Far out. You're joking.
Where do they go? I always thought they just put them on ships and sunk them in the sea. So if Martin and Taylor are making 100,000 guitars a year, how many guitars are Encore making? Or,
Man.
One of those, starter budget type,
Yep.
Budget acoustics that you see in every store in the land. It's got to be millions, isn't
It's
it?
got to be millions.
Yeah, mind you, there are a lot of people on the planet.
There are.
About over 6 billion at the last count, wasn't it?
Yep. Really?
Or was it 8 billion?
No, I don't know. Let's split the difference. 6.5.
Yeah. That's a lot of people anyway.
Thank you, Volker.
Volkswagen Strats.
That's very generous, mate. Thank you very much for that. Okay.
Thank you, Jose Benito Martinez Jr., who says, Dan is a follower of fashion. Greetings from Hollywood, California.
You know it.
Hello to Hollywood, California.
That's me, a
Yeah.
follower of fashion.
Haven't been there in a while. Looking forward to getting back. Wayne Whiteside says, hello from New York. I finally caught you live. Hello back to New
Yay!
York.
Yes. Hello, Wayne.
What a splendid city.
We were, this time last year, we were in New York. Or last year, we were in New York. And had the absolute best time ever. New York, I would move there happily tomorrow. It's my favourite place in the world. Just, I don't know, something about New York and me just click.
Rural
love it.
Italy is my favourite place in the world, I think.
Yeah, I could easily live there as well.
Yeah. Right, David Rustad. Hi, David, and thank you for that. David says, I know Dan liked the Mercury 7 Reverb. I'd love to see the Meris Polymoon join the great tradition of TPS delay shows.
So, absolutely, we have used the Meris Polymoon. As a matter of fact, it's a reverb pedal that I keep going back to because I think it sounds absolutely extraordinary.
Like all Meris stuff.
Like I'm blown away by the Meris stuff. So, have been having a play with the Otterbit, and it's mind blowing. But the Meris, the Polymoon and the Polymoon is which one's the delay?
Polymoon.
The Polymoon, and which one's the reverb?
Mercury 7.
The Mercury 7, yes. So, yeah, I love the Polymoon. The Mercury 7, though, is the thing that I'm just haunted by. It sounds like the best late 80s rack studio reverb. You know what I mean? Like, I just love it. So, yes, some more Meris stuff coming up on the show very soon.
Brian Garcia. Hi, Brian. Nice to hear from you again. Hello from Tampa, Florida. He says, since watching, I've gone from one solid state amp and pedal to a massive all-tube wet drying wet with gig rig gear and 15 pedals and counting in 4 months. Thanks for the gas. TPS is the best part of my day. Brian, welcome to the family.
You're a hero, Brian.
Yeah, welcome to the family, and we're sorry is all we can say about that. But you do sound better now, right? That's the thing.
Totally.
Thank you for your kindness. Brad Howard has been extremely kind and has
Blinking heck.
he might be putting another message in soon. So Brad, thank you for your kindness.
Yeah, Brad, thank you, mate. That's amazing.
Tim Wigley says, what do you think of a 4 amp wet dry fit with 100% reverb and 100% delay on the right with 2 center amps serving up stereo chorus?
I just think yes to all that.
Yeah, Tim, I
Epic.
think you should stand for office.
Yep.
I think you should be in some sort of position of power and influence others with your choices. Yeah?
I vote Tim.
Yeah, vote Tim.
Tim, show us the way.
Yeah, I think that could sound crazy.
Yep. Unreal.
Yeah.
Jolly Willard says, love the show on Friday. The idea of creativity being sparked by limitations is fascinating. Please speak to this. Perhaps you were forced to be more in the moment and therefore could ride the wave. So we are going to focus on this today on the show because I think
Jolly's hit the nail on the head.
Jolly has hit the nail on the head. I had a lot of fun, and it was, for me, it was, I just thought I had a laugh, and I found some sounds that were really inspiring and had a bit of fun. But I think what Mick managed to achieve, and a lot of you have echoed this in the comments this weekend, was quite epic and moving, and so mane people have echoed what I said after that is, why the bloody hell are you not doing some sort of album?
Thank you for all the kind words. They've been somewhat overwhelming over the weekend, and which is, is lovely to read. It's dangerous for the ego and all of that. But what that was, Jolly, you've said it, it was just a moment of flow.
Right.
And I'm not, please don't take this as self-aggrandizement or anything like that. And I'm not saying it was like anything more than a video on YouTube that Dan and I made. But however, for me and for my ability, it was a moment of flow and connection
Right.
that wasn't impeded. And it wasn't impeded by my own middleman.
Very
And
good.
it wasn't impeded by time and space constraints.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't impeded by other things happening in your life that stop you from doing stuff.
Sure.
Which I think is the reason most of us who want to make music don't make music most of the time. Like for everybody watching this, we all want to make music, right? You know, somewhere in the back of in your mind, you can see your album cover. And you know that album you want to make, and you can see it and you can feel it, but, you know, got the kids on Saturday, I've got to redecorate the hall. You just, every single, I've got to go to work. Imagine that, got to put food on the table, got to pay the bills.
Yeah.
All these things that are reality in life are all the things that you put before your own creative expression and enjoyment, which of course is sometimes necessary, but it's also really dangerous.
Yeah.
Because when that stuff doesn't come out, if it can't come out, then I think that's when you get into a dark place with it. But yes, thank you very much. And I think you're absolutely right, Jolly. Nothing was riding on it. It wasn't serious. I'm not trying to sell it, not trying to put it on the store and make money on it, not trying to, you know, get awarded something for it, not trying to impress my friends, trying to do nothing other than me and Dan having a laugh, doing a challenge.
Yeah.
And so it took all the usual barriers away
Sure.
because there's nothing riding on it.
Someone mentioned in the comments, and I forget who they likened it to, but it was really interesting. They said that there's someone else that makes a video regularly, or creates
Yeah.
music regularly
Every week or something.
every week. Yeah. And they said that if they'd had 6 months to do it, they would agonize over it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that sort of stuff, but they don't. They've only got a certain amount of time, so they bang them out. And what ends up happening is just as awesome.
Yeah.
But there's two things that happen. A, they might be a little bit different than what they had expected to create, but they have created it. You know, it's done.
Yeah, I think a lot of the creative people who I really admire are the ones who don't agonise it.
Yeah.
They do
Just
it,
bang on.
they make the artwork, they
Yep.
connect. Fraser's going nuts because there is literally somebody dropping a 50,000 ton water tank outside the...
Oh, really?
It sounds like that. I think it's probably just a tractor bucket, but it sounds like World War Three. World Water 3.
Well, Water 3, that was, sorry, just take a minute to recognise that was very, very clever. Thank you.
It's... yeah, it's just that. It's the flow, isn't it?
It's the flow.
And
it's the vibe.
Sorry, I was saying that
it's-
the creative people
it's
I
the vibe.
admire the most are the ones who just have the guts, because it is courage and guts, to do something and let it go.
Yep.
And you just do it and you let it go.
Yeah.
You do it honestly and earnestly, and you just let it go. And I don't think either of us have ever had that particular ability.
No, you do agonise over stuff, but you know, I think there's so much to be said for having created something. Because think of who was it? This is a sentiment that's echoed by a very close writer friend of ours. It says nothing is ever finished; it's just released.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
like that.
You can because you could endlessly tweak, but at some point you got to go no, and you just release it. Just
Yeah.
released into the world.
Yep.
So I really love that.
Talking of just releasing something, Mark Holt, I think it was, could have been somebody else, and I apologise if I've missed it, said, Mick, was that a gold top at the top of the show? Oh no, Mark Holt was asking about a show on Over the Top reverbs and delays. Yes, The Rooms has really taken Dan, so I think Over the Top reverbs, that is a stellar show, isn't it?
Oh, far out.
Yeah.
Totally.
And someone said, was that a gold top at the top of the show, Mick? And the answer is yes, and there's a story behind it, which I will tell as we go
Yep.
along, and I apologise, I can't find your name.
Richard Rigsby, this is really interesting. He says, Dan, can you expand on how you felt when Mick's music video started to unfold? Okay, so, yeah, let me take you through it. I'd just done mine, and I was really pleased that I did that all in, like an afternoon. Set the cameras up, played with them, as you saw in the start of that clip. Got some sounds. I thought, okay, got the honky thing. Started playing with the reverb. Great, got that bit together. Just played that riff. Did that thing in the middle, and then got that 3-part harmony thing with the wide. I thought that was really fun. And then just put that stupid video together with effects because I use Final Cut Pro, and I've just found the effects page, and I think I used every single one of them. I thought that's great, that's really fun. And then Mick was watching, and Mick was really enthusiastic about my video. I thought, yeah, that's good. All right, let's see what Mick does. And so I'm sat there in front of the big monitors, the big screen, and we've got the big monitors there, and it starts. And then I see the color and Mick's hand, walking along, and then there's the hands over the eyes, and I thought, whoa, okay. And it was a really powerful image. As soon as I saw that, something about the color, the treatment that you had on that was really powerful, and I just went. I was expecting something light and fun, and it just hit me really hard. I was like, far out, and the rest of it happened, and I was gobsmacked. And I was trying to take it all in, and there was so much happening. And because, and one thing that really struck me was there was a narrative to the whole thing, right? And because, and a lot of people picked up on this as we have this conversation about mental health and all that sort of stuff. And that was, there's a lot of that imagery in your film clip. So I thought, as much fun as it is, there's seriousness in here as well. There's an intent in there.
Yeah, very much so. But normally, see, if I was ever going to do anything like that seriously, I would think that was way too cheesy.
Sure.
But so you do it in a cheesy way, and actually it goes over.
Yeah. So I'm looking at all that going, okay, this is amazing. And the colour of it and everything, but then the frickin' guitar solo stood on those hay bales and the drone, and it was quite overwhelming.
We both knew hearts could change.
And I think mostly I was like, this is the wrong word to use. I was proud of what you'd done.
Oh, mate.
Because it's like that you could pull that out of the bag. And like that was just, I was really, really
We can all
proud
pull it
of
out
you.
of the bag. We can all pull it out of the bag. It's just finding the moment of flow.
Yeah, but you did the thing that you'd created that.
Yeah.
You totally nailed it.
Thanks, mate.
And I was very proud of you.
It's thank you to everyone who said it's good, and it's a bit embarrassing to sit here and. But anyway, Tom Hand says, Mick, was that the gold top you were playing? Yes, it is, Tom, and there's a story that comes in a minute. Daniel Webb, hey guys, good to see you. Tidying the flat and doing some reorganising. The downside of guitars is all the cases. Where do you keep yours? We had to convert our hallway into a guitar case store.
Actually, Daniel, I'm going to take a picture of all our cases. I'm going to put it on our Instagram page after this, so you'll see what happens to all our cases. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's definitely a consideration.
When we went, actually, you weren't there that day. When I went to Johnny Marr's place in Manchester, Johnny has a great solution. So he has a really big room,
right,
as you would imagine Johnny Marr would have.
Yes.
For his sort of live room, and he sort of put up almost like a fake wall all the way down this one giant side of this room, built cupboards.
Oh wow!
Some of which is covered by actual cupboard, big like floor-to-ceiling cupboard doors, and some of which is these curtains.
Right.
And so all the guitar cases just sitting there. There must have been 200 guitar cases in there.
Far out.
So yeah, modifying your house for guitar storage is a goal of mine. That's for sure.
Yep. Matthew Jones says, Comfort Zone EP by Mick Taylor. I need it in my life.
Thank you, Matthew.
Yep, very good.
Very kind. A lot of people said that.
Mark Lavinish says, practice the same song continuously until you master it, or learn many songs at an amateur level, hoping everything comes together over time. Which is best? They are not by any way mutually exclusive.
No.
Learn lots of songs, master some songs. So learning songs is really good for your ear, because the more songs that you learn, the more similarities that you find between them. And so when you hear changes, you recognise what they are, and you're able to go to those changes really quickly. That's great. But when you sit down and really learn something, so I remember when I was studying, and my sister's guitar player, a guy called David Holmes, had released this album, and I was a big fan of his. I thought he was like an amazing guitar player. Hopefully, I'm going to do a show with them later on. Anyway, there was this classical piece that's what is it? It's Anyway, I was like 18 or 19. He'd played that whole piece, and I sat down and learnt that by ear. And it took me about 3 days, I think, just, you know, because it's all come on. Hang on. I can't remember it. Anyway, that thing.
I'd just like to apologise to all classical guitarists watching this.
Yep. It was shocking. But, I mean, I haven't played that for 20 years.
But it's in there.
But it's there somewhere. If I sat down for another couple of days, I could probably bring that out. But I just remember after 3 days, just doing nothing else, barely eating, just focusing on that. And it's just the enjoyment from getting so deep into learning something like that. And it's so good for your ear.
That's where I'd go with it, Mark. I think it's really great to learn lots of songs and learn the chord changes. And then, great bit of ear training. Learn the chords that they played in the track, and you should be able to work out, you know, if it's an open E major or if it's a second fret, fourth fret D shape E major, or whether it's a bar chord shape E major. As you start to unpick the fingerboard and learn the registers of the guitar, that's super useful. What will happen is if you learn loads of songs, even songs you don't particularly like, you'll start to hear chord changes.
Yeah.
And if you learn them in the, which I didn't do for so many years, but now it's how I learn stuff, in the format of where it sits in the major scale, so you learn what the chords are in relation to the root chord. That will serve you much better than learning something inside out and upside down. Now, it might be that you want to play, I don't know, pick any song and you want to play the guitar solo note for note. Cool. Learn the guitar solo note for note and really enjoy getting into it like that. Mm-hmm. But what will serve you better as a musician is to learn the chord changes and then be able to adapt that the next time you play it.
Sure.
To play an inversion or something different. Or just when you hear the next song, it's not so hard to work out. You know, you can go, oh, hang on a minute, that's definitely 1-4-5, or it's 1-2-4-5.
Yep.
And you just, the more you do it, the more you start hearing that stuff.
Yep. And like learning solos and stuff, instead of just learning the notes, learn the chords as well, so that you can relate to you can understand what's going on, like melodically, over those chords. So if you want to play something and it's in a different key, you can sort of apply that to that key. So that's all really
that
important
only
stuff.
takes about 40 years. So don't give yourself a hard time
Dan,
if you struggle with that.
Sure. Dan Hansen says, I bought a Panther Cub version 2, but it sounds like there is clipping at the input stage with humbuckers. It's fine when it's rolled off. Is this normal? Dan, I'm not sure. You need to make sure that you're powering it properly, that it's getting enough current, because if it's not, then you're going to be limiting the headroom.
So Panther Cub is an analog delay?
I don't. The Panther Cub.
That one?
Yeah.
Okay, so it is an analog delay, yeah.
Okay. I can't remember.
Should we try?
Sure. Put it in place of the Merry Man.
This is what VCQ is all about, Dan.
It is. It is. Pete Lawler says, gents, can I come and live in your pedal cupboards? We will be...
£2 a week, Pete, yeah.
Yep.
You're welcome.
All right. So
What did you say, Les Paul?
You grab your Les
God,
Paul.
If only I had a Les Paul down to play. So back to Tom Hand, I think who asked this question. Tom, it's not mine. It belongs to my very good friend Neville Martin, formerly of Guitarist magazine, now of Guitar Techniques magazine, who was my boss for years on the mag and taught me almost everything I know about guitars, I would say. Anyway, he's putting out a blues album, and we're going to help him sell it. And as payment, I said, "Give me your gold top." No, I didn't. He said, "Do you want to borrow my gold top for a bit?" It's a Tom Murphy 57.
It's incredible.
And I said, "Well, yes, I do." Right. So you said Panther Cub V2 sounds like there's clipping on the input stage with humbuckers.
So let's hear it with single coils first.
Okay. Modulations on the side. If you want it off.
Sorry. And we're in the room. That sounds great.
Yeah.
So check your power supply. If so, that's getting enough current.
But also check that you haven't got the volume over Unity.
Yeah, right.
So you can see where the knobs are there, Fraser. If you could just turn back to the thingy camera, the volume of it, that was pretty much Unity, and it's set at sort of 11 o'clock, and the mix is where it is. If you start pushing that, then it might be that it starts to clip.
Sure. Also, if you're using really long delay times with an analog delay,
yes,
it's going to become you're going to lose fidelity in the delay, and you might mistake that for clipping
because the inherent sound of the delay is a bit broken.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
Of course. I didn't even think about that. Man, that gold top sounds good.
Sounds amazing. There you go. Boom.
There you go. That's
making it happen. We're making magic happen.
Yeah, I hope that answered the question, Dan.
Yep.
Pete Lawler, gents, can I come and live in your pedal cupboard? Yes, we've had that. Yeah, as I said, $2,000 a week. Which, in London, I saw this thing on the TV. So, London Town, right?
London Town.
Our capital city, or my capital city. Sorry, Dan is Australianisations. People spend like $1,000 a month into a converted understairs cupboard with a bed in it.
No.
Yes. So if you're not familiar with the standard British Victorian, maybe even Edwardian, maybe even the sort of 40s and 50s style British houses, quite often had an under the stairs cupboard. As you come in the front door, stairs go up, and underneath the stairs is a cupboard, long enough to lie down and sleep in.
When I first moved to London from Australia, we were living at Crouch End, and do you remember Linda Bellingham, the Oxo lady?
I do.
We lived in her house, like in a flat above her. Like she lived downstairs.
Under the stairs.
She lived downstairs, and there's a musician above her, and then we're at the top floor.
Yeah.
And yeah, we had it was lovely, and the tenant before us was Julia Sawali. She was in in Ab Fab. She was the daughter.
Yeah.
She was the tenant before us.
So where was that, like?
Crouch End.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
It was really nice.
Right, Millard Brown just got an MXR Sugar Drive, the Klon type. What's the best way to use this? Clean boost or lots of drive? Blah blah blah. Whatever you like, Millard. Now the way I tend to use a Klon is last after everything.
The last gain stage.
and I use it as a booster because it's got a tremendous amount of headroom. It doesn't matter what you stuff into it. It's like, yeah, come on, give me more.
Yeah.
And it just shapes, it lops off a bit of bottom end, it adds a bit of upper mids and treble, which is kind of exactly what I need with the kind of sounds I use to punch through for solos and stuff. So that's where I use it. But it's an equally good booster for exactly the same reasons.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Totally.
Yep.
Manica Lion says
Maniacal Lion.
Maniacal Lion, right? Well, I was in the ballpark. Says you both proved, yes, especially Mick, that it isn't the gear that matters; it's what you do with it that matters. The greats use what they have. That's very true.
I think it's half true.
But they start with that. They
Yeah,
start
I think
with
it's
what they've
half
got.
true. You know, there is a reason that David Gilmour uses really lovely old guitars and high watts and beautiful pedals, because sure, this is the old thing, isn't it? David Gilmour will sound like David Gilmour on a rubbishy guitar into a cheap amp.
But he doesn't choose to use that.
Yeah, he'll sound even more like David Gilmour if he's really happy.
Yep, exactly.
And that's what it's essentially about.
Yep.
But I think your point is,
Don't let that stop you making music.
yeah, just because person A says the Panther Cub is a fantastic delay pedal doesn't mean it's going to be fantastic for you.
There you go.
And that's hopefully been what has underlined that pedal show since day one.
Yeah.
I hope.
I concur. Thank you, Matthew Frederick. That's very kind, mate. And Dave Lee says, hi, both. Thanks for all the inspiration and advice. I'm just wondering if you had tried the Automatone as an actual preamp, i.e. direct into the power amp or return of a valve amp. How did it sound? Thanks. We haven't done that. I probably wouldn't choose to use it that way. I'd choose to use it into the front of the Matchless. As great as those solid state preampy sounds are, I'd still want them hitting
A valve
V1
stage.
of a preamp, But
Yeah.
it's definitely something that you can try.
I think it feels like it would work, like it's got enough oomph.
Sure.
I don't know what the output impedance is.
And that making sure that matches with the effects loop return
Yeah.
of the amplifier. Just but certainly worth a try.
We should try it.
We'll give it a try. We'll give it a try.
Holy Freak 86 says, "Hey guys, thank you for your kindness, by the way. I have the Phase 90 and
Phase 100.
Phase 100. How could I possibly read 100 as 90?
It's contagious.
Yeah.
Sorry.
MXR Phase 100 and Analog Chorus, both from MXR. What Univibe do you recommend, and is it justified to buy one having these two other pedals already?" It's a good question, actually, because I suppose if you set the chorus really wobbly and you added phaser, then you step towards a Univibe.
Yeah, you kind of, but it is
It's not the same thing.
No, not the same thing. So we both have the Jam Pedals Ripley Fall, which has a phaser and chorus in there, and mixing those two sounds and sort of getting them the rate in certain subdivisions and stuff, it's a magic thing. Also, playing with the Diamond Pedals Halo the other day, which is a awesome modulation pedal. It's more subtle, but you have a phaser and a chorus pedal in there. It's a matched speed and depth on it, but you can send the core and phaser out of separate left and right outputs.
Oh, wow.
And so mixing phaser and chorus is an absolutely wonderful modulation sound. But it's separate from a phaser, which is again separate from a vibe pedal. Vibe pedal is phaser based, but the way they go about producing the sine wave and using the optos, and it just there's a depth to it that is different to what you get in a standard phaser. I have to have them all because they all do different jobs. But yeah, what I would say is go and have a listen to some vibe sounds that you really like, because there might be vibe sounds that you don't like. Find some that you really like and see if you can get there or thereabouts with what you've got. If not, I think the only way you're ever going to scratch that itch is to actually grab a vibe.
You are a fan of the MXR house, so one great buy, if you can still find them, are the pre-Roche Dunlop Univibes when they were able to use the old photocells and stuff.
Right.
If you can still find one, I imagine they pop up on Reverb and
Who made the
eBay.
Rotovibe?
Dunlop.
That's Dunlop.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Rotovibe's another good chat. That's probably, for me, that's probably my favourite.
Mm.
When we were in Germany at Tom Ann,
Yeah.
and we were going to do that show, and found that old Rotovibe, and it was like
Yeah, they
so
sound great.
good.
The Jam pedals, what's it called? It's called the Retro Vibe.
Retrovibe, right?
Retro Vibe, now in Mark II mode. That is probably my favourite, I would say. Yeah,
An old Mojo Vibe
Mojo Vibe,
is really good. There's a bunch of them.
You know, Dan and I are fans of traditional analog, and if you want a proper sounding vibe, it's got to have photocells in it.
Yep, totally.
Yeah. The digital recreations are cool, but they're not the same thing.
Yep. Michael Force, thank you, Michael. That's really kind of you, mate. He says, great to see the Maxon SD9. That was my first distortion, but mine is Ibanez branded. I still have it, by the way. Must have bought it in 85 or 86. What a fantastic show last Friday. Please make a CD, or even better, vinyl. I'll buy it. Vinyl, man.
Yeah, I totally. Well, one of the things, like I said, we were going to help sell Neville's CD. I sent Dan a text message going, let's open a music store via the TPS web store where all our mates, where it's quite hard to buy their stuff sometimes, either because they don't have web stores or they can't fulfill web stores, we'll just sell their stuff for them.
I love it.
We'll sell CDs, we'll sell vinyl, and we'll sell it for them.
Yep, that's a great idea.
Obviously, we'll take a whacking great commission, but not as bad as Spotify. Because then they'd only get like half a p per album sale.
Yep.
No. We'll take whatever it costs to package it up and send it out.
Great.
I think we should do that. So if you're one of our mates and you want to sell vinyls or CDs, get in touch and we'll sell them for you.
That's really good.
Let's have a record shop.
Yep.
Yeah,
Done.
awesome.
Andrew Davies says, hi guys, loving the show as always. I'm looking for an amp that could give me high headroom, similar to Mix 2 Rock, but on a slightly lower budget. Any suggestions? A 65 Super Reverb, perhaps? Thanks. That one. That one.
Victory V140, the Super Duchess.
Yep.
You
So
you can hear it in this Friday's show. In
yeah,
fact.
and you'll hear. So I've heard Joe Landreth use that amp. I've heard Robin Ford use that amp, and I know what you mean because it does have that high headroom. It's the 2 Rock is arguably for what you do certainly the best amp I've ever heard you doing your thing, and you can't cut corners and get that sound.
No.
You know what I mean? Not to say that the Victory's cut corners, but you know what I mean? There's no way to say, okay, well, maybe if we put a cheaper transformer and we do everything, we don't do everything point to point.
Yeah.
So there's things that happen in that process, but that the V140 is
That's
just wonderful.
totally what I would go for.
Yep.
And seeing as you're in the UK, Andrew, I think that would represent pretty decent value for money as well. Once you get to the US, I think they're a bit more expensive, but in the UK, that would represent great value for money. The 65 Super Reverb is a cool amp, but it is very much its own thing. The bright cap and all of that just takes some getting around
Sure.
in a really big way. It's tough.
Yes.
It doesn't sound as like the 2 Rock. What the 2 Rock and the Victory have in common is they sound supercharged.
Yeah,
Whereas
right.
the Super Reverb is not that. It's a very specific, beautiful, but very specific thing.
Yep.
Anyway, hear more of it on the show on Friday when Dan and I are doing our 10 favourite amps in the TPS studio. And lo and behold, it's one of those.
Yep. John W777, thanks for that, mate. He says, spent the weekend in North Carolina in front of loud amps again. The last time he did that was on the 6th of March. The only catch was learning about Kempers and profiling. It's very impressive, but I'll stick to my old analogue ways. Thanks for the inspiration. We hear you, we feel you.
Yeah, it's cool. Whatever works. Whatever
Yep.
works. Whatever works.
Tools, they're
It's-
horses for courses, tools for stools.
It is all good. Tools for stools.
Yep.
That sounds
That should be the
bad.
name
David
of our
Burke.
BCQ.
David Burke, after you recommended the Hudson broadcast, to me. I've bought a Wampler Catapult, a JHS Charlie Brown, a Walrus 385, a Timmy version 2. Walrus Age is coming next week. No broadcast yet. Typical addiction. Huh. Yeah. Let's see
Welcome to our life.
The good news is the broadcast is quite different from everything there. So if you did want to add it to your collection, you certainly wouldn't be overlapping too much. Although the Timmy does pretty much everything, more or less. Doesn't do it in that kind of transistory overdrive way, though. Good on you, David. Welcome to the family.
Yep.
Daniel Webb, shout to Simon. The audio and video is perfect. It's Fraser today. Fraser's doing the audio and video today.
Yep. He's kicking goals.
He is.
Yep.
So
I would embrace him with love, but we are social distancing from Fraser. No one else in the room. Everyone gets love, but Fraser comes in. It's like, no,
not you,
not you.
Anyway, yeah, no, big props to Fraser, who's been diligently working out our streaming issues as we stumble across them.
Yes, we're very grateful to Fraser. He's helped us kick our game up a notch.
Yeah.
It's been very, very good.
John Gogo. Hello, John. He says, you two have been a revelation to my ear, soul, mind and tone.
Oh, bless you.
That's awesome. And a devil to my wallet. Yeah, we know. My Kingsley, Maiden D, Page DS and Jester.
Oh.
And I, thank you. Well,
wow.
Yeah, you're not messing about
No,
there, are you,
that's
John?
really great. Awesome. Jolly Willard says, my first songs were funny and about my friends, but once I was there, the songs got more complex and lyrically deeper. Crack the door and it comes out. Yep.
Yeah,
Not just the door, but we totally there with you, Jolly.
Yeah. I think the genius in songwriting for me, and all the songs that I really love, are the ones where the lyrics are detached enough for you to be able to add your own meaning to them.
Oh, okay.
So there are
wow.
songs that I listen to where I think that could mean one thing or it could mean another, but it strikes you personally where you maybe overlay what you take it to mean, and that's why it means something to you. And then maybe down the line you find out that it doesn't mean that at all.
Bootylicious.
Don't joke, Bootylicious, Destiny's Child are so significant in the development of music, in my opinion. Before Destiny's Child, right, at least in terms of radio play, everything had a backbeat and a bass line.
Right.
And they messed about with all of that, and they decided that the bass line was the rhythm,
Okay.
and that would go with something else, and the drums were sort of almost like a bit part, almost like percussion. Honestly, listen to Bootylicious.
I will do.
Party to Bootylicious for you, babe.
Hey, Rocket Complex.
I love Destiny's Child.
Thanks for that, mate. He says, have you bought the same pedal multiple times? I'm about to buy the exact same copy MXR Classic 108 Fuzz for the third time. Yep.
Dan bought two clones.
I bought two clones. I bought my first clon and didn't like it, got rid of it immediately, and then everyone was banging on about clones, and I thought I'd made a horrible mistake. Must have been something wrong with the clone I got. Bought it, another one, plugged it in for the first gig at the end, and it was gone by the next gig. It just wasn't for me. Yeah, that was a lovely silver, from Charlie's.
Yeah. I don't think I have. I think by the time I got into pedals, seriously, I was in a position to... I've sold a few pedals down the years, but
Yeah. Oh, man, I'm so far out.
I didn't...
It's embarrassing how many pedals I've sold.
At that time, it almost wasn't worth selling them. I don't know. But no, I haven't bought multiple pedals, the same pedal multiple times.
We've got 1,000 people watching us now. If you've just joined us, welcome.
Hooray!
Yes.
Speak Galactic. Thank you, Speak Galactic. Says, hi. My home recording setup is a 5-watt Epiphone valve Junior into a 2-notes Captor load box with a load of 100 watts. Would an amp with more watts be beneficial? I think the Captor is capable of taking up to 100 watts. That's what that means.
Yeah, so it won't take the load won't be the 100 watts. The load will be the ohm setting from the output of the amplifier.
Yes. So as long as if you're I don't know what the impedance speaker output impedance is on the Epiphone valve Junior. Let's say for argument's sake it is 8 ohms. Obviously you need to match that on the 2-notes Captor. And you can use any amp up to 100 watts. What will happen is if you use a bigger amp, it will sound different. A different amp will just sound different.
Yeah, but not necessarily any tonal benefit from having an amp with more watts. For example, if you've got a single-ended 6v6 and you've got that cranked, you're still hearing the output section, the limiting of the output section.
Yeah.
You might prefer the limiting of a 100-watt, high-watt output section more, but when you match the levels of them, you're not going to have any real tonal advantage just because you're using a 100-watt amplifier. It's just different
sound.
characters of that output
Yeah.
distortion.
But the good news is, if you're using a Captor load box, you can use any amp you want.
Yeah. They're great.
Yeah.
We're discussing a show at the moment. It's going to take a bit of work, but it's going to be fun. The
Oh, that show.
that show. Yeah.
Aidan Endersby Music, hello Aidan, says, last episode really showed that you two are at the top of your game right now.
It's so hot right now.
Thanks, chaps, for the consistently high quality entertainment. Yeah, thanks, Aidan.
Thank you, Aidan.
That's very kind of you to say. I think we just, largely thanks to you lot, the wonderful TPS audience who are increasingly supportive and decent humans.
Yeah.
I think we have the confidence to show a bit more of ourselves, maybe, but
Yes.
not
They're very, very gracious.
Yeah.
And encouraging, and it makes a big difference.
Because you know what it's like on the internet, it can be pretty mentally destructive when you put yourself on the internet. And Dan and I both struggled with that over the years. But hey, we shan't focus on it because there are hundreds of thousands of people who are not like that whatsoever.
Yep.
So thanks. Paul West
says, Happy Monday, gents. For your information, the Cinvatec CKK Fluid Time Mark II is available at their Reverb store. First batch might be sold already. And that's that one.
Is that a Mark II?
It is Mark II. It says
Is
Mark
it?
II there, look.
Nice.
And they're very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
It's quite an interesting story, Cinvatec and CKK. It's sort of remiss that we've never really told it, but quite a cool pedal brand that bubble underneath the ones that you see more regularly.
Yeah.
They always make good sounding stuff.
I met the designer at the last NAMM we went to. Just a lovely guy, but yes, so clever.
Matt Presley has opened a box of can of worms here, released the snakes into the question forum by asking, is there any logic to thinking that tiny versions of pedals aren't the same as their original larger counterparts, e.g. Carbon Copy versus Carbon Copy Mini?
Yes, there is. So, when it comes to designing analog, layout is massively important. And there's a number of things. When you go from if you've got a through hole design and you want to make it tiny and it goes to surface mount, there's a way to do surface mount that makes a big difference. And there's a few guys that know how to do it really well. But just changing the components for surface mount component isn't necessarily going to give you the same results. I actually had a fascinating conversation with Dan Coggins, who now works basically full-time
At Thorpe.
at Thorpe,
That's
which
pretty
is great.
exciting. That.
But Dan Coggins is a very dear friend of mine, and he's a designer who I have the utmost respect for. And we talk about this stuff all the time, and there is so much that goes into just layout. So if what your goal is to take that and cram it in the tiniest enclosure possible, there's a good chance that it's not going to sound the same. Even if the circuit diagram ends up being exactly the same, the schematic
all the
ends up
component values are
yep,
the same.
there's a good chance that it won't sound the same.
Yeah.
So
Not even just a good chance.
yeah.
There's a certainty that it won't sound the same.
I'm going to say very probable.
Yeah.
Yep.
So for those of you who weren't following that, the reason that outside of very, very simple circuits like, transistor
yeah.
boosts and stuff like that, the reason that it's been possible to fit a large old school pedal into a tiny box is because we've gone from through-hole big components mounted into circuit boards to tiny, tiny circuit boards with these minuscule surface mount components. When I first saw a bag of surface mount components, I genuinely thought they were dust. Like bits of paper that had flaked off
Yep. And there's different
I was
size.
literally, we had some stuff turn up that we had
Yeah.
to help somebody get modded, blah, blah, blah. There was this little bag of stuff. I'm like, that. I've either got
Looked
to
like pepper.
sniff that up my nose or throw it in the bin. I've never
Yeah.
done cocaine, by the way.
Yep.
Anyway, I am watching a great thing on Netflix called Queen of the South
Right.
with Alice Braga is the lead in it. And an English guy actually plays the sort of second character about drug cartels in Mexico.
She was in a film called Red Belt with Chiwetel.
I think she was in City of God as well.
Yeah, she's great. She's
Yeah,
great.
yeah. It's really brilliant. It's a bit cheesy, but it's brilliant. Anyway, that's what made me think of cocaine.
Yep. Charlie O'Toole says, on getting into home recording, do you guys have any tips for getting into a groove at home? I'm struggling without gigging or sessions. So, okay. If I've got a chord progression, all I'll do is I will go onto Logic, and they've got the Logic drummers there, and there's a few, and they're so clever because they'll play along to what you record. You know, it's brilliant. But what you do is different because you program your drums up sort of one thing at a time.
Yeah.
And Mick, if he gets a groove, you'll actually like sing a groove into.
I'm
you
an
do that stuff.
extremely frustrated
Beatboxer.
closet drummer. I can't drum to save my life. I did think about if I do like a month's worth of lessons,
Right.
whether I could be semi-competent.
Okay. I'm sure you would be.
I did think about it. I
Because your
can't,
groove is great.
I can't get the separation. But so I love drums. If I had my time again, I think I would do drums instead of guitar.
Wow.
But just because then you'd always have a gig, right? Especially if you're any good. But what Dan is saying is right. If you look at the Logic drummer in particular is just great. It's a 4-way grid where you can go loud, quiet, simple, complex.
Yeah.
And it'll just do grooves for you. But if what you actually mean is getting in the headspace to want to do recording rather than being distracted by a million things, I have literally no idea how you do that because I've never been able to do it.
Right.
And I sit down and then I'll do every kind of work avoidance tactic possible. I will even do hoovering rather than sit down to do recording. Sorry, vacuuming. And I don't know why that is.
Yeah, it just sometimes. I remember when I did a bunch of demos for the EP, I got those 4 songs done in like a week.
Yeah.
Just banged them out, and it was brilliant. And then didn't touch them for like 6 months.
Only really serious recording I've done before this was the same.
Right.
Just absolutely, it was just flowing out.
Yeah.
And there was no way to stop it.
Yeah.
And I don't know how, if you could bottle that and sell it.
Yep. Totally.
yeah.
Well, this John Reed, says, hi guys, can you give me any advice on recording on a budget? I feel really inspired after the awesome vid on Friday. I don't want to let the moment slide. Cheers. So all I would say is, John, if you've got an iPhone, there's GarageBand on your iPhone.
Yeah.
You can start with that. There are, no matter what your budget, there'll be something that will enable you to track some songs. Now, it's not going to be, if you think that you're going to get this amazing studio quality from spending 60
$100,000.
yeah.
Anywhere near it.
But all I would say is that, even if all you've got is your memo thing on your phone and you've got the idea for a tune, record it.
Yeah.
It just do it. Don't let that technology stop you.
What you need is some kind of multi-track recorder.
Yeah.
So you need to be able to record something and then record something else. You know this. As Dan said, if you've got an iPhone or an iPad or any kind of Mac computer, GarageBand is available for free.
Yep.
And it's
fantastic.
It's a brilliant
going.
DAW that's
Yep.
super easy to use and has got loads of samples and grooves and stuff in it, so you can just drag stuff in and kind of build it up. It's amazing what you can do. In fact, Pete Honoré's daughter, Gertie, came around here with Chloe the other day. And Gertie, I don't know, maybe she's 12 or 13 or something like that. And she's like, have a listen to this. and she just programmed up a load of stuff in GarageBand. Sounded like a modern dance track. It was totally brilliant.
Wow, that's wonderful.
And so it's that the technology, and I'm not saying that a 12 or 13-year-old shouldn't be able to do that, but the technology is totally there and accessible.
Yep.
The hard bit is getting your guitar into, and if you don't have a Mac or an iPhone or an iPad, if you're more PC based or you have an Android phone, there must be free versions of stuff.
Yeah.
Fraser, any idea what's free on Android?
I don't know about free. There's like all the iRig makes.
But there will be a multi-track recorder, and even if it's not free, it'll probably be like 10 quid or something. So the next problem you've got is getting your guitar into your device, whether that's an iPhone or an Android phone or a PC or a Mac, and then you normally need something that sits between the two. IK Multimedia, are these Mac only? Do you know? Probably not.
No, I think that's Android as well.
IK Multimedia make awesome stuff at really brilliant prices, and a lot of it's super guitar player friendly. So this just sits between your guitar and your whatever it is, computer or whatever, and that just sorts out all the impedances, means your guitar will go in, and quite often they come with a bunch of software too, so they might come with a couple of free amp sims, reverbs, delays, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Or you can add those on, and in your average free or nearly free recording system, there will be reverbs, delays, and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
So you really, really don't need to spend loads of money, because after that, it's literally a vertical curve until you
down a hole,
get to a £100,000 Neve console,
Yep.
and then it starts getting better.
which we all need.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Actually, just because I wanted to say I want to see this happen, we're going to do a quick shout out for the that pedalshowstore.com, and I want to see Fraser put the little graphic up because I haven't seen this happen yet.
What graphic?
Oh no, that's
Didn't you
not
have the
for that.
graphic? What's it for?
No. This is for the Andy Timmins thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we'll do this again before the end. Those of you who've bought tickets to the Andy Timmins gigs with us in September, they're not going to happen, unfortunately. We've spoken to all the venues, and they've all said they haven't had a clear sign from the authorities to say that anything can go ahead. And to be honest, even if they had, the idea of trying to cram a full capacity venue at the moment seems crazy.
Yep. And Andy
So-
would have to isolate when he got here for 2 weeks, and
Yeah.
it just not going to work.
Yeah, he can't fly, so so we're going to push them out to March, and all the venues have been really helpful in going, yeah, let's push it out to March.
Amazing.
Where we can hope we're back to normal by then. So what will happen is, if you Catherine wrote some stuff down for me. If you've already bought tickets, we are going to send out an email to you if you've already bought a ticket. So please check your spam folder, because a lot of them end up in spam.
I love spam.
To give you a couple of options. One is to say, yes, great, I'm happy to push my ticket out. We need to confirm the dates before we do this. Secondly, if you want a refund, then obviously we'll give you one. So that's how that's going to go.
Like a double entendre.
If you just want a refund and you're like, do you know what, I'm done with this, I can't wait any longer,
Sick of you guys.
please email this.
Hey, look at that!
Look what's happened there.
Hang on, I missed it coming on the screen. Was there some sort of it fades in, and the rest of the screen goes dark one more time. Look at that!
Look at that.
Look at
For anyone hard of seeing, the email address is events@thatpedalshowstore.com. Events@thatpedalshowstore.com. We will do a separate little video about this, and as I say, we will be emailing everyone. But if you've bought tickets, the gigs are not happening in September. We really, really hope they're going to happen in March. We just need to confirm the dates. If you're like, I'm done with you guys, email us and we will refund you.
That's great.
Cool.
Did you do that, Fraser? Catherine did it. That's really
Just
good.
amazing. It's amazing.
Okay.
Look, TV channel, Dan. This is
TPS TV.
This is TV.
TPS TV.
Yeah.
Awesome. Airfire. Thank you, Airfire. That's really generous, mate. He says, plans for my first pedals are an Electro Harmonix Micropog and also a Walrus Audio Slow. I want the dry from the Electro Harmonix to go into the slow for dark, and then both wet go into the amp. How do I achieve this without having an effects loop? Okay. So what you're saying is you're going. So the MicroPog has two outputs. It has a dry out and an affected out. So you're going to come out of the Pog. The dry out's going to go into the slow for dark, and then both the wet go into the amplifier.
Yeah.
So the easiest, most simple way to do this is with a summing amplifier. Okay.
Go onto the pedal board.
Go onto the pedal board. All right, so the simplest way to do this is with a thing called a summing amplifier. Now, let me see if I've got one here. JHS make,
The battery's gone on this
but
one.
we're still going.
that one.
Yeah, people can hear us, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Hang on. All right. So JHS make this thing called a summing amplifier, where one signal and another signal, they come together and then they sum and they go forward like this, okay? So the signal from the right-hand side comes in. So if we follow the signal path, you've got your guitar signal doing this, all right? And that's going to hit the Pog, and then one side's going to split, and that's going to be your Poggy sound, right? And there's your Pog, and then here's your direct sound, okay? Both those sounds are going to hit your summing amplifier. There's into that side some, and then into that side, and they're going to come together like this, and then that's going to go forward out of your summing amplifier into your amplifier. Loud. I'm doing hand puppets next.
It's great.
Mick's gone to get a battery. So that's how that will work. And so JHS make a really great tiny little summing amplifier that will fit easily on any pedal board. As Mick swaps the battery over, I wonder how long I can do this for, and I wonder how many people we're losing right now.
Just don't worry. I entertain the people.
No, hey, look, there's 1,000 people watching me do this.
Just entertain the people, Dan.
Okay, what's the dog thing? No. Yeah. Anyway, so that's the best way to do it. All right, what's next? I hope that helps, Airfire. All right. Gary Gallagher says, love your passion.
Ready when you are, Dan.
And
Back up on this.
okay. It's happening. It's all happening. Right. Gary Gallagher says, hello. Oh, it was seamless.
It was. Just a bit of a
Absolutely
focus issue there.
seamless.
Just a little bit of a focus issue there.
Okay.
Look at the camera down. So
Gary-
I can focus on you.
Gary Gallagher says, hello, love your...
If you've been feeling a bit ill today, this is probably how that pedal show looks.
He says, hello, love your passion. Thank you for all I've learned with TPS. I just got a Wetter box and I'm using it to de-poo a quad reverb. Great pedal. Thank you, Gary. Yeah, an Alesis quad reverb. So I had one of those, and I used to run that with a... What did I run that with? I had an ADA preamp, the ADA 1 preamp.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to use a quad reverb with that, and it was not awesome. But yes, the Wetter box will help you sort that out. So that's great, mate.
I'd just like to say, for anyone going, why on earth do you not charge the battery in the camera before you go live, or at least run it off the mains? Well, here's the thing I've learned today.
Tell me.
When you run it off the mains, it still depletes. It won't just run off the mains.
Does it extend the life?
It extends the life of the battery rather than replaces the battery.
Because I found that with my little Sony as
What a
well.
pain in the butt that is.
Yep.
Yeah. See, these are all, we live and learn.
We do live and learn. Well, we live.
Okay. Andrew Benton. Hello,
Benton.
Andrew. I'm looking for a grab-and-go combo to complement my Bad Cat Hot Cat 30.
Oh, nice.
2 Rock Studio Signature, 64 Princeton, or maybe something I haven't thought of.
I
Well,
think the Princeton's a great shout.
sounds like you're in the game there, Andrew. The Studio Sig is a unbelievable amp. But it will sound quite different from your Hot Cat. I think the Princeton might give you more of what you like out of the Hot Cat. Because the Hot Cat is 4 EL84s, for anyone who doesn't know. Has elements of that really nice, voxy, matchlessy chime to it.
Yep.
A lot more gain available
Two-woo.
if you want it from memory. The Studio Sig is sort of a step into hot-rodded Fender Super Reverb territory.
Yep.
So yeah, grab and go, because I'm guessing your Hot Cat's a 212 combo maybe. So you want something 112. Dr. Z, Maz 18 would be really cool. AC 15
AC15 is a great shout.
would be great.
Yep, the Hot Cat has a lot of chime. So if you want more of the same, an AC15 is a really good one. But I still like the Princeton. I think that's a really good shout. Or tell you what, anything like a deluxe. What are you laughing at?
Oh no, someone just commented, Mick, can you handle this? Fraser, can you handle this? Simon, can you handle this?
I don't believe you can handle this, DJ. I don't think you're ready for this jelly, Dan.
It's really, really not.
I don't think you're ready for this jelly.
BV gave me some instructions on how to keep on top of the super chats.
I'm there.
Are you? Okay, all right. Because mine keeps slipping off the page.
I'm there.
You're there? Okay.
Gordon
fabulous.
Rankin is looking for an analog reverb. It's got the Anna Sounds element, but the external tank is too noisy. Yeah, that's a bit of a job, that, isn't it? By the way, Dan, I've been to Swindon, as Andy Partridge has an amp I made for him.
Ah, Andy.
That's very cool.
I spent a very enjoyable evening with Andy not so long ago. Anyway, this...
Yeah, if you want a spring reverb, there are two that we kind of like.
I know that won't be in focus,
The White Whale.
but let's see.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on. Here we go.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. And pedal cam.
That
we
won't
go.
be in focus either, Dan.
Ah, far out.
There you go. That'll be
There we go.
nearly in focus, but not really.
The White Whale.
Yeah, by Crazy Tube Circuits. Has an actual spring. The other one that we like and use regularly is the Carl Martin Headroom, which isn't here.
Why is that not here?
Don't
I
know.
might have it at my house.
Don't know. That's not here. Or you could go digital and get the J-Rocket Audio Boing is very good.
Yep. The Topanga is very good.
Topanga by Catlin Bread.
Yep.
So yeah, let's revise that. J-Rocket Audio Boing, Catlin Bread Topanga, Carl Martin Headroom,
Headroom, very good.
or Crazy Tube Circuits White
White Whale.
Whale. They would be our recommendations
Yep.
for 2 real spring reverbs and 2 digital emulations thereof.
Yep.
Actually, to be fair, the Source Audio True Spring is pretty good as well,
That's really good.
but it's not analog drive-through.
No, which is infuriating.
Unless they've updated it, which
No.
they might have done.
No, you need a hardware change for that to work.
Oh.
Okay, DR says, greetings from San Francisco Bay. I love San Francisco Bay. All right, keep on composing. It's difficult, it can be maddening, but the greatest rewards in music by far are delivered by composing. When you want to walk away from it, don't. Push through and discover.
Thank you, DR. My problem with it is if I write a riff like I wrote for the track on Friday, I've heard that in 50 other songs, and that's why I put it down.
Right.
Because it's like, this already exists. And I think everyone needs to work out how to just get past that.
Sure.
Because everything already exists. It just does.
Chris Benton says, super awesome show on Friday. I was going to make a video and try and get Slash to do a guest appearance, but I think I'll ask Mick instead. Awesome.
Buzz Wilson, love this show more than GOT.
Ah, Game of Thrones, that is.
Ah, okay. Looking to get an HSS, and I'm curious about the cons of coil splitting and any suggestions you have. For me, you can't beat Sir for that kind of thing.
They're really good.
You just can't. Their artist roster speaks for itself. And I think of all the brands, I mean, we should maybe add Exotic, LSL maybe, but certainly Sir and Exotic seem to have that end of things really well covered.
There's this sister duo that I see on Facebook all the time, and they do this traditional rootsy stuff. And one of the sisters plays laptop slide.
Oh,
She's amazing.
Larkin Poe.
Larkin Poe. So one of them plays slide, the other one plays a Sir HSS, and her tone's brilliant. So
Larkin Poe. for
Larkin
anyone who-
Poe, yeah,
Larkin
really,
Poe.
really great. I'd love to get them on the show actually to perform because they do have a sound and they've got that sister harmony thing
Yep.
and they're great. Her slide playing, man, she is serious.
Yeah, I'll
like
have to have a listen.
totally serious. Yeah, they're wonderful.
Very good. Yeah, so that's where I would go with that. Any problems about coil splitting? Yes, it will never sound like a single coil. Sorry, it just doesn't. But certainly goes a long way towards it.
Yep.
So if you really have to have the humbucker, then
Yeah.
that's a good way to do it.
Yeah.
I do think a decent single coil, just with the wire to the tone pot and just knock it back a bit with the right distortion pedal,
is
a nice place to
Magic.
be.
Yeah.
But then when you hear Scott Henderson, when you hear Michael Landau play their humbuckers, it
It's
is
all
a
good.
different thing, especially if you have a nod to anything remotely 80s. It kind of has to be a humbucker.
Yeah.
So yes, I would look at a Sir and don't look back.
Sure. Nick Larson says, I foolishly bought an aux box without realising my interface doesn't support a digital in. Any recommendations for something under, say, $250, let's say?
You don't have to use the digital in. You can
yeah,
use the
there's a-
analog.
Yeah,
And don't tell anyone I think the analog one sounds better.
there we go.
Because there can be a sample rate issue with the digital in. You can just use analog. So you don't need to worry about it.
Job done.
Yep.
Jack Royal says, hey, okay, do you ever use the gain channels from an amp and place the foot switch on the board? Do you have any solutions for cable management to and from the amp for effects loop, foot switches, etc.? Well, it's that age-old thing, the four-channel method, if four-cable method, sorry, if that's what you're doing, and then switching channels in the amplifier. I mean, if you've got a switching system, there are ways to do it, and replacing the foot switch for the amplifier with like a controlled relay as part of a preset. But if what you're doing is, you want to have your just a simple foot switch and your pedals on the board, then you're sort of stuck with the four cable method and turning the foot
Yeah,
switch.
I used to just put all my cables together in a long thing and cable tie them and mark them on each end. So it was almost like an ersatz multi-core.
Yep.
And so it'd just be this big mess of cables that wasn't a mess because it was cable tied together. And as long as you don't get too much BS built on them and all that kind of stuff, you can keep that pretty clean.
So there's a couple of things with that. If you've got all your cables together, you can get spiral wrap that works really well. There's clear spiral wrap, and that's great, like thick spiral wrap.
Yeah.
And there's also a product called Pedal Snake.
Pedal Snake.
And they have these, and I had one. I used it for years.
Oh, God.
And they've
Michael Landau. Scott Henderson. Who else have we
Yes.
talked about?
Andy Partridge. Can't honk Larkin Poe, but
No.
yeah.
Anyway, sorry to anyone who we haven't honked. The horn is back, by the way.
Yep. So Pedal Snake is a really good one. It'll make
Yes.
that whole process a lot easier.
Google Pedal Snake.
Yep.
Careful what you type in.
Simon Mastromatio.
Hello, Simon.
Hello, Simon. He says, I think the whole Slash and November Rain thing would have been ruined with that gem. Great call, Dan. This was really interesting and pleasant episode. Loved the reaction cam.
Thank you, Simon.
Yeah, thank you, Simon.
We have to say that the reaction cam was entirely Simon's idea.
Yep.
And I was like, no, man, don't spoil my video. And he's like, get back in your box. I'm semi pleased. Like everything in life is a two-sided coin.
How did you get on with the EOB?
Oh, it's great. Absolutely great. Because I wasn't trying to do my normal thing with it.
Yeah, you're right. And you let it be what it was.
Let it be what it was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Also, recording at that volume, it pretty much could have been anything.
Sure.
So the sustainer was the thing that I enjoyed.
Right.
Yeah, and then
It's
just
great, isn't it?
nice fat bridge pickup.
Yeah.
No worries.
Yeah.
Everything in life is a two-sided coin. Mm-hmm. I'm 50% overjoyed and 50% gutted I didn't get the gem.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I think that would have been weird.
Yeah.
What came out would have been unusual.
Sure.
I totally would have used those in-between sounds.
Yeah, right. Yeah, okay.
Next time.
Thank you, Josh Farrar. That's very generous, mate.
Mark Lavinish. Hi, Mark. He says, I want a Strat to keep my 2000 McCarty Company, PRS
Ooh,
McCarty.
hello.
Advice in getting something 2 to 4K to keep forever and appreciate in value. Where and how do I start to look? For that sort of money, if you want it to go up in value, there isn't really anything. Custom shop Fender, maybe. And for anyone who thinks I'm talking garbage, quite a lot of my friends who buy and sell guitars, even large retailers, say that when they buy anything in, if it's a Fender or a Gibson, it's X% of the original retail price. If it's any other brand, it's a lot less.
Right. Yep. Totally.
Unless it's some weird collectible thing, there are exceptions to every rule. So,
But I think it's saying he wants to keep this forever, right?
yeah, and
So-
if you genuinely want it to appreciate in value, your only choice is vintage.
Yeah.
Really, unless it's like one of a collector's run or something like that. But even then, not really.
Yeah. But
Hard to think.
I would say if you want to keep this guitar forever, go and have a play of some custom shop Strats. Find the one that you can afford, or actually find the one first of all that absolutely nails the sound that you like. What I found was with my Telly, even so Red, when I got it, and it's always sounded awesome, but when I first got it, it didn't play very well. The reason I was happy to, this might sound superficial, but the reason I was happy to hold on to it and work with it was because it was a Fender. If there was any other sort of guitar, I would have been really...
Because you're invested in the brand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you...
For anyone cynical about that, let's just have a quick look down history of the people who have played Fender Telecasters.
Sure.
That's why it's in there, right?
Yep.
It's not in there because
No,
you have
absolutely.
some ridiculous connection to Fender. It's because it created rock and roll.
Yep.
Alongside Gibson.
Totally.
And Rickenbacker.
Yep. And
And Martin.
I'd always wanted a really nice Fender Telecaster.
Yeah.
And after 1,000 gigs, that's what I got.
So, Mark, seeing as you are in the US, lock your credit card in a drawer
Yeah. Don't take it with you.
and have somebody responsible guarding it. And then call up Wildwood Guitars on the internet
Far out.
and check out their selection of Fender custom shop guitars. And then when you come down, a responsible adult can decide whether you can get your credit card out of the drawer or not.
Yeah, that's a really good
Yeah,
shout.
but I would go Fender Custom Shop
Yep.
for that sort of money.
Curtis McDonald says, the past episode was one of the best yet. I think the ethos behind the show is spot on. Thank you, mate. He says, concepts versus gear reviews is a breath of fresh air. Thank you, mate.
Thanks, Curtis. Dan and I have always had high hopes of being able to show stuff in context. Because it does get a bit old, doesn't it? I mean, we love sitting here and yakking on, and thank goodness you lot mostly love it too, because it is good fun, isn't it?
It is. It's
But
great fun.
when you don't have the context of music, or at least use, it can be a bit abstract. Now, conversely, when we've done music in the past, we have had comments that people have gone, no, I don't want to hear it in music. I just want to hear it.
Yeah. It's like, actually, people saying, this is great except for the music.
Yeah, I just don't want to hear your music.
Yeah.
And if that sounds weird, in my days on guitar magazines, I remember a massive turning point where I think it was the publisher maybe came in and said, no more people on the cover of this magazine. Because every guitar player loves gear,
Right.
and every guitar player hates 90% of music. Right? Because you like what you like and you don't like anything else.
Wow.
It's not true of all of us, hopefully. And people just
That's
weren't
hilarious.
willing to be, like in the old days when I bought guitar magazines, there'd be people on the front, I had literally no idea who they were, and I'd read about them and I'd enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because I was open to it. But then now it's like, I don't like that guy, I'm not buying it.
Yeah, right.
And I think it's almost the same with music. So you can enjoy the sound of a pedal when some person is chumming on YouTube, like Dan and I do week in, week out. But then the minute you make a musical stylistic choice, you're like, that's not for me.
Yeah, of course.
I don't like proto psychedelic black metal.
Yeah. Yeah.
I only like pre-proto psychedelic black metal, and so this just isn't for me.
Yeah.
So I think that when you, however,
Hungarian nose flute sounds rubbish through an SD9.
yeah, but pre-64 Hungarian nose flute,
bang on.
now you're talking.
Yeah.
So, so that's
This, see?
yeah. So that's it. And in context. So what we're trying to do, what we're consistently trying to do is think
Oh boy.
of contexts that aren't going to just make a million people turn off.
Yeah.
So we've got some ideas, and we'll see
We're
how
having
they,
a go.
how they open out.
Right, Stunt Moose says pedalboard challenge using only pedals from the 80s. Love the show.
Oh, we'd love
Canberra,
that.
Australia. That's a great idea.
We'd love
That's
that.
really cool.
Josh Farah, thank you for your kindness.
Think Thirsty says, can mixing speaker sizes, amps types cause issues in a wet-dry stereo rigs? For example, an AC10 C1 and a Roland JC40 looking to add to my Vox. Thanks. So if you mix a speaker with a 10-inch cabinet, if you mix a 10-inch speaker and a 12-inch speaker, it's a sound, but it's actually really challenging to actually work out what is and what isn't in phase when you get those speakers together.
Yeah.
But it's a great sound.
That's the coolness of the sound.
Yeah. I used my AC30 and my AC10 Twin. I used those two amps together for years, and depending on the venue, I just listened to the sound that sounded the fullest, and it was different depending on the venue. But it was always epic. It
was always good.
Always a great sound, and without fail, every sound guy would come up to me at the end and go, "Man, that's a serious guitar sound."
Tell me if my logic is out here, Dan, but point one, the more speakers you add, the more phase issues you're going to have.
Yes, the more speakers you add, the more challenging it is to get them all in phase.
Yeah.
Yep,
So if you've only got one speaker, it can't be out of phase with itself.
exactly.
If you have more than one speaker, there's a possibility that it might.
Yep.
If we accelerate that logic a bit and say the more different the speakers are, the more chance you are of having phase issues.
Yes.
Is that
Yep.
Is that a fairly logical? Fraser, would you concur?
Yes.
That'll do. Fraser said yes.
Fraser went to college and learnt about this stuff.
Yep.
Sorry, Fraser went to university and learnt about this stuff.
Yeah.
So but don't. The flip side to that is, don't worry about it.
Yeah. If it sounds good, it is good.
Yeah.
That's really important.
Sean Patterson, thank you, Sean, for your kindness.
Thank you, Sean. That's very generous.
He
mate.
says,
Thank you.
and let's reward Sean's kindness here by giving his band a shout out. Oak Ridge Avenue.
Ooh.
Oak Ridge Avenue. Check them out.
Down the
Decided
avenue.
against all odds to release a record during a pandemic. Good for you guys. In the same vein as your just get out there sentiment.
Good
TPS
man.
greatly influenced our guitar sounds, and I'm eternally grateful.
Ah, good on you, Sean.
Thanks, Sean. That's
Legend.
that's the best feedback we can ever have. That
Yeah.
someone says, "Wow, you guys have made me think about going and making some music."
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's awesome. So well done. Again, your band is called Oak Ridge Avenue. Please go and check them out. A Google search should, after the 58 pages of Oak Ridge Avenue's Google Maps results, you should find Sean's band.
Brilliant. Ed Bromiel says, hey lads, first, I love the black and white footage from last week's video. My question is, I'm about to pull the trigger on buying a 58 American vintage telly. Is it sacrilege to remove the lacquer off the maple fretboard? If it's an original 58, just, man, don't touch it. It either works for you or it doesn't.
I think he's saying 58 American vintage, as in my guitar is an
sorry, of
American
course.
vintage. Yeah. Right. Tread really carefully, Ed. And this is something that's worth spending money on. If you do it yourself, I guarantee you'll ruin that guitar. Because you'll either go too far or not far enough, and then when you haven't gone not far enough, you'll go too far. There is a halfway house where you can just rough that lacquer up
That's where I live.
with some 2000 grit wet and dry, or even some steel wool. Obviously, you'll need to recrown the frets.
You did this to your Mexican...
Yeah, I've done it to every
and
maple neck fender I've ever had.
It's wonderful.
But people who really know what they're doing will be able to do it in a way that doesn't destroy the guitar and will make it feel really nice. But yeah, that thick lacquer on the front of the maple is a real problem for anyone who doesn't like it. That said, depending on what year that 58 American vintage telly is, when they went from the post 20, I want to say 2012, I think they made the change where it was my blue guitar is a pre-2012 one and the black one is a post-2012 one. When they made the change and they introduced all those new years and they went to town on the specs, that's some of the thinnest lacquer I've ever seen on a Fender production guitar. So, advice is play it for a bit and play the crap out of it for a bit because you might find
it just wears in lovely.
You don't need to do it.
Yeah.
So give it some time.
Yep, that's a really good shout.
Yep.
Brent Porter says...
Great guitar, by the way.
Yeah, they're wonderful. Brent Porter says amp recommendations for pairing wet-dry with the V140. Does that amp work better paired with something Marshally, Voxy or Tweedy? So what I would say, Brent, is it depends on your gain stages.
Yep.
You might find if you have say a blues driver, for example, and you got it paired with a Vox, the way that the mids are going to be affected by the gain stages in the Vox, you're going to get this lovely sizzle and mids coming through that sit on top of the V140. Now, if that sound doesn't work for you, something like a deluxe reverb, when you're thinking of gain stages like that, like a flat frequency response gain stage, and it'll be less mids, more of that scoopy thing. And the reality is, any amp I've never heard a bad amp paired with a V140. Because of the headroom and the tone of the amplifier, it pairs great with anything. It just depends on the gain stages that you're using and the way that you want that other second amp to sound. If you're after more of a Fendery thing, go for or whether it's a Tweedy thing or a Blackface thing. But, personally, I love the sound of a Voxy amp with the Fender amp.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful thing.
The only problem you'll run into there is if you go for something Voxy and you're using the V140 very high headroom, what will happen is, so here we go, they're roughly the same volume. Here's your Vox and it's overdriving a bit. Here's your V140 and it's not overdriving at all.
Yeah.
You step on your Klon and the V140 does that.
Yeah.
And the Vox does that.
Yeah.
So what happens is, because there's so much less headroom in the Voxy type amp, especially if it's overdriving a little bit, the V140, you'll see your overdrive pedal and go crazy loud, and the Vox won't pick up too much at all. So there'll be this mismatch, which can be an extremely cool thing if that's what you want. Dan and I tend to approach it from the other direction that says try and match the amp's headroom characteristics a bit, so that when you step on the overdrive pedal, you've
both come up.
Yeah. Now, if you're not using a massive volume boost, it won't make any difference if you've got everything set at Unity. But if you are using boosts and things to lift your volume off the pedal board, then choose an amp that's got similar headroom characteristic to how you have the V140 set.
Very good.
If you've got it overdriving, a Vox will be fine.
Yep.
Yeah.
David Braniff says, back at guitar after 15 years. Good on you, mate.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. You have become my go-to. Started with an HT5, but where now? Do I go wet dry, or do I hold off for a Duchess and a V4 Kraken later? Boy, oh boy.
Keep the HT5. Get something else. Something else not too crazy.
Yeah.
And
that's not going to put a dent in the Kraken funds.
Watch that Blackstar HT5, good little amp, 5 watts of goodness, become something entirely new and more impressive when you add something else to it for your wet dry wig.
Yep.
Wig. A wet dry wig.
Wet dry wig. Great.
Let's have a wet dry wig.
It's a barrage of imagery.
Let's send an email to Rhett Shull and make him market the Rhett's dry wig. Please.
Okay, well that's got to happen.
Rhett's dry wig.
Rhett's dry wig.
Not to be used in the rain, all right? Sorry, the actual question was, so yeah, if you have ambition towards something like a Duchess and a V4 Kraken, then why don't you just get one of them and pair it with your HT5 for the time being?
Yep.
And you'll be astounded what wet dry brings you.
Especially in that tiny amp sense when you're at home and you're practicing. Seriously, one of the best things that you can do If you're looking for a rig at home where you can practice, but it sounds epic, 2 small,
2 tiny amps.
tiny amps, both. Now, you can either go both the same sort of digital amplifier with the same latency, or both analog. You can't do one or the other because it's you get this time phase thing. You can never correct it properly unless you put a certain amount of latency in the analog amplifier to match the digital thing. Anyway, like if you get 2 small valve amps, 5-watt valve amps at home, turned down, and do it wet dry, it's an epic way to feel this volume of sound without it being loud.
Without it being loud, it
really,
just sounds
really
massive.
Great. Right, Brian Parra says, cheers to the UK for not only the best damn gear show on YouTube,
Bless you. That'll be Addison's then.
but I just got my PJE
Patrick James Eggle.
SC Macon, and I'm blown away. Mojo pickups, Rotostrand strings, USA custom shops. My USA custom shop stuff is gathering dust. We just got spanked on a public beach. Well, yeah, now you know how I feel.
Patrick makes unbelievable guitars.
He does.
He is a superb guitar maker.
Yeah.
Everything thought about right down to the nano micro thing. Yeah. Congratulations on that guitar.
Yeah.
What a nice guitar.
Man, we've got a lot to get through.
Daniel Webb says, sorry, Fraser. Good Scottish name.
Yep, very good. Jason Correpsi said you were using a Tele or Les Paul has enough mids that a solo wouldn't need a mids push like a Tube Screamer or a Klon. You received a light speed before. Do I need a light speed and a Klon to boost a solo depending on guitar?
Right, Jason is saying if you're using a Tele or a Les Paul, maybe something like a mid-boosted pedal is unnecessary because the guitars already have quite a lot of mid-boost. So he's saying if he's got a light speed for his Les Paul or his Tele, does he need a light speed and a Klon to boost a solo depending on the guitar? Yes. One of the great things about having multiple gain stages is you can combine them in different ways depending on your guitars.
Yeah.
So it's not about need. There's no need in any of this, really.
No.
But for sure, I think it makes sense on a pedal board to have some gain stages that are different EQ. Or if you don't want to do that, have a couple of gain stages and a couple of EQ pedals.
Yeah.
But whatever you have, whether you're boosting in or boosting after, being able to shape that EQ, whether it's done in the overdrive pedal or outside of the overdrive pedal, is really all part of shaping those tones how you want them.
Yep.
So no need, Jason, but certainly good to have a selection of stuff. Always confuses me when you look at someone's pedal board and they've got 5 Tube Screamers.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you could swap one of those out for something different, surely. That was me for a while.
Sorry, someone's just said, Smelly Telly says, when you said TPS TV, it suddenly occurred to me why your live feed seems so familiar. It's a modern version of Wayne's World. Well, love you guys. It's the suck and cut. It sure does suck. David Burke says, Dan's trousers look better with the screen faded. Sorry, Dan. It's all right. It's all right, David. It's no problem. It's fine. Broadcast will be bought, just not in stock anywhere. Thanks for everything you do. You're very welcome, mate.
Check out reverb.com, David, if you can't find a new one. Reverb's got loads of great stuff.
Yep.
You might find a used one somewhere and save a bit of cash.
And Chris Gilbert says, can you guys recommend an amp up to £1,500 to get as close as possible to the John Mayer tone? I currently have a very old Marshall MG50 DFX. Yep, the Victory V40.
Yeah, which I think
V140.
is probably a bit over 1,500 now. But failing that, pretty much any classic Fender amp with a Klon.
There you go.
So Hot Rod Deluxe or which is not a classic Fender amp. Hot Rod Deluxe, 65 Deluxe reverb, 65 Twin, Super Reverb, and then just shape the EQ accordingly.
Yep.
Is what I would say. Yep. Even a Plexi turned down would get you close to that sound.
Yep. Josh Farrar says, I own a Mastertron, the JHS Supreme, and a Fuzzrite clone, but none achieve the low gain fuzz tone I hear in a Morricone or mid-60s garage. Any recommendations?
Yeah, you need a tiny amp with a broken speaker.
There you go. Oh,
or even not a broken speaker, but a tiny amp absolutely farting its arse off.
come on.
Walrus 385.
Walrus 385.
Yeah, that'd be a good shout.
Yep.
But that sound is thin, right? It's got no bass.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So JHS Supreme, way over the top. Mastertron, way over the top. Any fuzz pedal, way over the top. You need a little amp that's crapping itself. And the Walrus 385 is pretty good for that if you want it in pedal form.
Sure.
Yeah, Hudson
really good.
Broadcast
Yep.
will do that for you as
Yep.
well.
KJ Photo says, I'm on the fence, Pinnacle or Plexi Drive for a cranked Marshall Tones. Cheers from the town, so nice they named it twice.
Huh,
New York, New York.
Bolton.
Swindon. It depends on the Marshall Tones you're after.
I thank you.
The
I'm here all
Pinnacle.
week. Try the veal.
The Pinnacle is a much higher gain than the Plexi Drive. Personally, I love the Plexi Drive.
Plexi Drive.
Yeah, really great.
Yeah.
Really great.
Plexi Drive.
But if you want the more of the Van Halen Brown sound thing, the Pinnacle is really good.
Captain Total Waffle. Well, you are welcome here, my friend. TPS inspiring my board. Chase Bliss Automatone.
Yeah, you did.
TC 7-Up.
Nice.
MXR Chorus. Boss TR3 Trem. Strymon Timeline. Boogie Mark 2C from 83. Yes, you have. Yes, you have. And a Vox AC15, both on the verge of breakup wherever possible.
That's
You're playing a game there. I do believe you're at the captain's table there.
that's very good. Very
Yo
good.
no soy marinero. Yo no soy marinero. Soy capitán.
Soy Capitan.
Anyone who can name those lyrics does not win a prize. Firstly, for naming the song they're from, and secondly, for telling us what they mean.
Okay, I'm not allowed in the competition, am I?
No, because
Okay.
you already know.
I when I was doing my gigs in Beijing, and there was three.
It wasn't Chinese, any variant of Chinese, by the way.
No. It was this three, the daughters of a Spanish diplomat that used to come and see us play, and they went through all the lyrics of that song with us and told us how to sing them properly.
Oh,
It was
nice.
really funny. Thank you, Sean Kinnaman. His message has been retracted. I don't know why, but that's very kind. Anyway, Matt Lloyd.
Hey, Matt,
How you doing, buddy? Hope you're great.
and happy birthday.
Yes, Matt. Happy birthday.
And thank
Hope
you
it
for
was
your
awesome.
kindness.
Matt says, do you have suggestions for promoting music? I've put 3 songs on DistroKid, and I have more, but need to reach people.
Right, first off, everyone watching this, go to Matt Lloyd's DistroKid page. Matt Lloyd, MATTLLOYD. Matt Lloyd. Go and check out Matt's music. So there you go, Matt.
It's
hopefully-
it's Matt's birthday today, so do it as a kindness.
Yeah, wish him a happy birthday by checking out his DistroKid page
Yeah.
and promoting his music. Matt, honestly, if we had the answer to that question, we'd be being employed by record companies.
Yeah.
There's 2 answers. One is start some sort of social media platform that helps you reach people. Number 1. 2, you need I was going to say a truckload. You need a shipload full of money. Is really the only way to do it.
A massive ship.
Yeah. Just endless cash.
Yeah.
So that you can buy ads, pay for radio, all those things that record companies have been doing for years and years and years, and then realise none of them work anymore
Yep.
because the internet got invented, and then all music is free, so nobody buys it, so no one's making any money anyway. Therefore, let's all give up.
Ah,
That
said
is
from the top of a haystack.
that's where most record companies are now.
So
And if you don't believe me, look at the difference between A-list artists,
Mm-hmm.
and by A-list artists we mean, who do we mean, Dan?
we mean your Beyonce's and your
Taylor Swift,
Rihanna.
Rihanna.
Yeah.
Like the A-list artists and everybody else. And let me tell you, there is a chasm
Yeah.
between them and everybody else.
Yeah.
However,
Chasms everywhere.
there are lots of independent artists doing very, very, very good business.
And the thing about the internet, it has given the independent artist platforms to be able to do
The
that.
possibility
Yeah.
to do it.
Yeah. So just do what you do, be passionate about it, and Yeah, just do your thing. But there you go. Hope you have a
Yeah.
great birthday, mate.
We wish you luck, Matt.
Yeah.
Yeah, being visible on social media is probably the most effective way to do it. And if it's good, if it's true, it's from the heart, and you do it honestly and in earnest, it might take a minute, but you will find people who will like it and they will gravitate towards you.
Yep, totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
So, yes, that was a bit of what we affectionately term a shit sandwich.
Yep.
Um,
The two-word
Answer.
review.
yeah. Brent Porter.
Grant Porter. One more. Mick, why have you gravitated to production line strats versus custom shop stuff in your collection, i.e. Blue and Transit Van?
Because I'm a cheap ass.
Stop
Is
it.
the main reason. No, I've played. I had a very spawny job, right? So I was editor of, I would say, the best guitar magazine in the world.
I would say that as well.
Guitarist, and editor in chief of two others, Guitar Techniques and Total Guitar. And I was also editor of Guitar Buyer. And I worked on guitar magazines my whole working life.
Up to this point.
Yeah, I wouldn't call this work.
No.
So I got to play lots and lots of guitars, new ones as they came out. You know, we got sent everything. You go to factories, you do all that kind of stuff. Very privileged position. And of course, you play lots of famous people's guitars too. So I played lots of guitars in my time. And I also got to sit down with lots of guitar makers, and still do, and talk to them about guitars, right? So if I was going to go out today and spend my hard-earned money, I would buy a custom shop Strat.
Yeah.
Because I
The
think
Landau one, probably.
the hit rate that the custom shop
Yeah.
gets in its guitars is
Phenomenal.
really exceptionally
Yep.
good.
Yep.
Rewind, I think I've unpacked some of the things that I know I like about Strats.
Mm-hmm.
And when I stumbled on my blue guitar, it was one of those one chord, yes, I'm
That's
having
it.
you,
Yes. Yeah.
because it is a custom shop Strat.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
In that it doesn't say custom shop on it, but it was part of a limited run, so they picked the wood carefully.
Mm.
It has a super thin,
Nitro finish.
thin skin finish,
Yep.
and now it's got really high-end pickups in it.
Mm.
So the difference between custom shop and American Vintage, for example, is selection,
Right.
and then the man hours and lady hours and people hours that go into making that guitar. So I've kind of worked out what I like in a guitar, and I have played a handful of custom Strats that had I had the money on that day, I would have bought absolutely. But I do like the American Vintage guitars. I feel like they are the production line thing, which to me is a little bit closer in essence to what was originally intended. So, yeah, and I'm a bit of a cheap ass, you know. I just,
You just know you're considered with your
Yeah.
financial purchases.
yeah, I'll spend money on a Gibson or a Collings, but I just don't want to spend loads of money on a Fender. That said, the best Strats I've played ever are number one, old ones,
Yeah.
and two, custom shop ones.
Yep.
So, but I've bonded with these now, and that's why that is. So,
Yep, they're
yeah,
amazing.
it would be remiss not to have a custom shop Strat or two. So maybe when one comes along,
Sure.
if the right gold one comes along,
Paisley Gold.
I don't think I'd be able to
Turn it down.
turn it down.
Yeah,
and
sure.
when Will Goodfellow eventually sells me that Mike Landau Strat, I'll go for that one as well.
Nice.
Will, I hope you're watching.
Okay. Soren Leddit. Hi,
Soren.
mate. Hope you're great. He says, hi, guys. Awesome show on Friday. Mick, how gainy does the Thorpe Warthog get compared to the Rattler? Good to see the horn back.
It gets every bit as gainy and more.
While he's doing that, Mark Lavenish says, I'm in big trouble. Wildwood guitars are literally just down the road from me. It's maybe a 20-minute drive. Yep, that's a
Mark,
problem.
I'm so sorry.
Best
I don't
of
know,
luck.
I don't know where my Warthog's gone.
And
Oh, no, it must be on my pedal board.
yeah, I would say it's a different Focus EQ, the Warthog. But it does get... Yeah, it's just... Yeah, you can get as much gain out of a Warthog as you can a Rattler.
More, and then what the Warthog really does, which I absolutely love, it must be here, is it goes fuzzy.
Yeah, right.
It really does go fuzzy. Millions of people on YouTube going, "It's there, you idiot!" Battery.
I'll get a DC cable for you. I'll put it in.
In fact,
You read-
let's put it here.
Okay. Telecaster, Catherine Faulkner says, "Hi M&D, Mick. I've watched your video on the Princeton Reverb 12-inch and wondering if this will be okay for home use under 88 dB, cleanish with drive pedals."
Yes.
Yep, totally.
Yeah,
It's a great,
it will go
great
a lot
shout.
louder than that, Kath, but it's really good for that, I would say. I like the way you've become Telecaster as well.
That's very good. Very good.
Right, Soren, let us know what guitar you want me to use. I'm going to start. I know you've got a couple of Collinses. You've definitely got Strats. Let's start with the Strat, shall we?
Yep.
So I'll just give you a quick sweep through of how much gain the Warthog has.
Just need 3 of those.
It's
All the sounds are there.
Yeah, it's an undersung pedal in Thorpe's line. I love it because
Yeah.
it's just on the edge of that kind of. It'll slightly rasp a bit like a Tweedy thing, but then it will go all the way to really almost fuzz, right?
Yeah.
And so that's with the Strat, so you can imagine how it's going to be with humbuckers.
Yep.
There you
Amazing.
go. I hope that was useful, Soren.
Okay, Mad Crafter says, building my first pedal board with Gigrig QMX8. Thank you, mate. Thanks for the rabbit hole. How best to cut cable lengths as not to have expensive useless scraps when updating and upgrading? Square plug, SP400 and SP4. Okay, so you're doing the solder thing, which is great. If this is your first build, I'm assuming that you are not hugely experienced with soldering. So all I would say is cut off a length of cable to start with and just practice doing your solder joints. You know, do one and then cut a centimeter off and do another one, cut a centimeter off and do another one. Just get the soldering thing happening first. And then all you need to remember when you're doing the lengths for your patch cables is you need to take into consideration the bend. So it's not just the cable reaching the pedal. The cable has to come up the pedal and then sit inside the connection, and then there's got to be the bend over that goes and is connected to the terminals. So you need to take that length of cable into account. Now when you strip a cable, you need to take that into account. So what I do, I'll run the cable up to the pedal, into the jack plug, and I'll always do like a couple of inches extra. And that means I've got enough room to strip it, get the the shield off and turn it around and crimp it, solder it, strip back the inner cable and the shield from that. Yeah, so it's a process. So if you can start with the first cable that you do, start with like a medium length one, not the longest one, not the shortest one. Start doing a medium length one. But if you don't get it right, then you can cut that down to a shorter one, you know, or even start with the longest patch cable that you need. If you don't get that right, cut it down to the second longest one.
That is a great
and
tip.
the second longest one.
That's a
until
great
you
tip.
get it right, because there's a knack to getting it right. You know, yeah, it will take a while, but hopefully that helps. But the square plug stuff is brilliant.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Really, really good.
Right, we should say, please, no more super chats. If
Yep.
you've done a super chat, we will get to it. Please, no more new super chats because we are going to run out of time. So, and thank you to everyone who's super chatted.
Yes, it's very kind, guys. I really appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Simon Mastromateo again. Hi, Simon. What happened with the 5v3 kits? I was curious why your guys are not featuring them. Did you put in a 10-inch? Maybe underwhelming. Simon, edit camera guy, has one of them, and he's had his modded with some reverb in it.
Oh, cool. Really?
The one that I made is still here, or is that the one you made? Did you make the tweed one, or did I make the tweed one?
I can't remember.
Anyway, they both develop pretty serious faults.
Yeah.
So they need to be totally rewired, and they're just not stable enough to use, unfortunately, and we just never got around to having them redone. The soldering just wasn't good enough. Bottom line. Yeah. I also don't like the taper of the volume pot. So we keep saying we're going to mend it, and we don't. And we should. Because
Sure.
it's a cool amp, just needs to be fixed.
Sure. Jamie Hill says, following on from the matching amp headroom, he's got a Blues Junior Mark IV and a Sheriff 22. So is a Blues Junior 4 and Sheriff 22 a good match? Question mark. How did Graham Coxon have it set? Mine's spiky when clean.
Yeah, the Sheriff 22 in particular does need to have a bit of hair on it.
Yeah.
You know, when you hit it with an overdrive pedal or when you play your guitar hard, it just wants to be going slightly into overdrive. Obviously, you can turn the treble down. I can't remember if the 22's got a presence control. It might have, in which case turn that down too. But yeah, if you do need to get a bit of love happening in that preamp of the Sheriff 22, and you'll get more in channel 1 than you will in channel 2. Blues Junior 4, same thing really.
Yeah.
You just need to get a bit of love happening. And how did Graham have his set? That man has an attack to a guitar and an attitude that it just doesn't matter how he's got anything set. Genuinely.
My friend called me today. So Paul Wheeler, he's a very dear friend of mine. Paul's the drummer from Icehouse. And he's been one of my closest friends for, 25 years. And we played bands together. We used to play in Max Sharam together. And, you know, anyway, he called me today because he watched Blur at doing Tea in the Park. And then the next recommended video after Blur was our interview with Graham Coxon. And he called me to say, I just watched this, man. And he said, I didn't know you did that. I was mad.
That is hilarious.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, Graham Coxon just... When
He's something
when he
else.
touches the guitar, music comes out of
Yep,
it.
yep.
And even from the most angular, even when you think, that's never going to sound any good,
Yep.
it just does.
Yep.
Because, I don't know, something in his intent means that it does.
Yeah. And there's a humility and... he's a magic man. Okay,
Michael
Webb says, here's a business idea. If there are cows on the farm nearby, run some PA over, bring forth the rock to cows, then milk, bottle, call it rock milk. Done. You're welcome. Thank you. We'll take it under
We
consideration.
do have high hopes of doing what we are loosely terming experience days here, which may involve the farm
Yeah.
and milk.
All I'm saying, cows, saddles. And that's all I'm saying.
Cow saddles, cider, and heavy metal.
Brilliant. Matthew Milantoni, thank you, Matt. I really appreciate that. That's lovely. And David Burke says, afraid the word's out about the broadcast. Invariably more expensive these days than it used to be because there's a new shortage of supply. No rush, though. But, you know, broadcast.
Yeah.
It's changed a lot of stuff for us with the broadcast.
Yeah, and to be fair, it was pretty popular before
Yeah.
we got there. Michael is a very, very, very talented guy, and I think, like a lot of small builders who want to keep things the way they are without the inherent compromises of big growth, there's going to be shortage.
Yep.
Yeah.
Elusive Moose
Where is the moose?
says,
There's a moose loose. About this hoose.
says, Dan, when are you getting that Jaguar over to Johnny Kincaid for the help it needs? That guitar needs a fair shake, and all of us need some more video of the masterful Mr. Kincaid working his art. I went and saw Johnny a couple of weeks ago. He put a new nut in this guitar, and he is just as wonderful as ever. And hopefully I'll get some video of him building my acoustic guitar
Oh, nice.
before too long. It's still about a year away, actually, to be fair.
We do want the Jag to be okay.
Yeah,
we
because
want
it does
to be
sound
okay.
great. I just
Yeah.
need to make it feel great.
I keep thinking about having a go at it, but then my days run out. Matt Lloyd, Matt Lloyd Band, MattLloyd Band, Matt Lloyd Band. Please go and check out Matt Lloyd Band.
Jose Benito Martinez Jr.
Thank you, Jose. Thank you.
I'm not a Marine. I'm a captain. And that's the...
Yes. So you're saying
Translation.
it's the 1966 Sandpipers hit, which of course it is because it was a cover by Los Lobos.
It was.
For the
How was it cut? First of all, it was covered by, before Lost Lo, it was a cover by the guy,
Ricky Valens. Yeah, Ricky
And-
Valens.
yeah.
Wow. So I don't know who did it originally, whether it was the Sandpipers or maybe Ricky Valens was in the Sandpipers. I don't know. I'm just showing some massive ignorance.
But wasn't
here.
it was like a traditional folk song, a rendition of, anyway.
Made into,
Yeah.
well, I'm sure the story's told in the film La Bamba. Anyway, Los Lobos,
They're amazing, Los Lobos.
Cesar, what's his name? Cesar.
Salad.
That's excellent. I'll remember his name in a minute. Anyway, Cesar and David from Los Lobos. Most people know Los Lobos from La Bamba, right? Yo no soy marinero, yo no soy marinero, soy capitán. I'm not a sailor, I'm the captain, I'm the captain. They make some spectacularly good music.
Yeah, amazing guitar playing.
Just
amazing guitar sound.
David especially, his approach to old stuff, fuzzes and awesome old guitars and just brilliant tone. Fraser needs a wee.
He couldn't hold it
Couldn't hold
anymore.
it. Just couldn't hold it. What are we going to do? It's all going to collapse around us, Fraser. Don't sprinkle.
Light a match!
Yes, please check out Los Lobos. And there's an album that you should check out by Los Lobos called This Time, which came out in, I don't know, a while ago. And it's got a track on there called Viking. Check out Viking by Los Lobos and hear one of the best fuzz riff sounds ever.
Wow.
Ever.
Okay. Brilliant.
Yeah.
PJSGBC.
Thank you.
Thank you, mate. That's very kind.
Captain Sexy!
Captain Sexy. He's back. It says, hello, Captain Sexy here. You guys should really do a show on old rack gear since rack gear is slowly coming back. Okay, by the time rack gear makes it back, then we'll have a look at it. But it's...
Well, don't tell anyone. I was actually looking at a bit of Rat Gear on
What?
on Reverb the other day.
What?
Might have been a 2290.
No.
Yeah, and because for our live broadcasts, before Fraser gets back, I want to go analog and get an analog desk with some analog outboard gear, so that we don't have to worry about all this mucky muck. And then we can have a separate control room
Right.
and get bands in.
Okay.
So I was looking at a 2290 and maybe some sort of Lexicon reverb
Ah.
and some sort of compressor, because all that stuff's, well, actually the 2290 isn't, but most of that other stuff's cheap as chips now.
Sure.
Because nobody wants it. Everyone's
Right.
got plugins.
Okay.
But all I'm saying is, old stuff.
Shh, he's back. He's back. He's back. Shh, shh, shh.
Okay.
All right.
Winston Bowman.
Winston Bowman chipping in for the drone fund. Yes.
Thanks,
Yes.
Winston.
Awesome. And I shall use the drone in my next video.
Yeah. Don't. Yeah. Okay.
Gino Enzo says, "Hey lads, thanks as always. Current rig is a Strat Silver Sky into my 2 Rock Crystal. Nice.
Oh yeah.
I mic with an SM57. Any preamp you suggest for recording?"
Yeah. Neve 1073.
There you go. Lovely.
And if you get the one that's a stereo one, they're only $4,000.
Done.
Yeah.
Done.
Failing that, any sort of universal audio interface and use the Unison preamp channel strips.
Yep. They're really good.
It's the most cost-effective way of doing it. So if you get something like a twin Quad X, they're still not cheap, still nearly £1,000, I think. You have access to universal audios. I know, because you've still got to buy the plugins. So I think they do periodic offers where if you buy, in fact, I think there's one on right now. If you buy an Apollo, you get the classic bunch of stuff for less or free.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you want to go old analog preamp strips and stuff, there's no, even if you buy the non-classic brands. So if you go to someone like BAE,
Yep.
their Warm Audio, same. Warm Audio is a bit less expensive actually, but
JHS did a whole series of them as well. didn't
JHS do some 500 series. I don't know, what do you call that, Fraser? Mini rack, or is it just 500 series?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
standard. Yeah.
But, you know, however scary guitar gear is, and however scary your $7,500 Tom Murphy 57 reissue is,
Nothing on studio gear.
there's nothing on studio gear.
Yeah.
It's literally not even in the game.
Yep. Yep. Matt Lloyd says, here's a $5 more just for being good people. Thanks again. That's you're
Thanks,
so
Matt.
welcome, Matt, and I hope you had a great day, mate. Okay, well, that's it. Wow.
I'm just going to mention my friend Neville again, who lent me this guitar and I'm going to keep it for as long as I possibly can, because it is fantastic.
Isn't that awesome?
He's got a blues album coming out, which we're going to sell through our store. And if you're any of our friends who sell music and you want to sell it through our store, we can have a conversation. Oh, man.
Ah, boy.
There's the next song.
Done. Drones.
Yeah. Catherine's going to come.
Catherine's running in. We've forgotten something.
us to
Oh, my
Say
God.
about the tickets again.
No,
No, we've done the tickets. Did you see the tickets? Did you see the hen?
I did. It's
Okay.
really impressive.
There
Well
we
done.
go.
Well done. UPS was what I was going to say.
Oh, yeah. If you do buy anything from the That Pedal Show store, and we are very grateful to everyone who does, because it's what keeps us going, we have just turned on UPS shipping to territories outside of the UK, and indeed the UK as well. But what normally happens is if you bought, say, a hoodie and a mug, it would cost a lot of money and it would take a lot of time to get to the US. We've just managed to do a deal with UPS where we can now send stuff much more quickly and cheaply, and in something I still don't quite believe is true, you don't pay any customs on import either, on items under a certain amount.
Oh, okay.
$800 in the USA.
So $800. So when we do D&M drives, and if we do another limited edition pedal soon, if that
Might happen.
happens,
Might happen. We don't know.
we don't know.
We're not saying anything.
We don't know. How do we know?
Who? Hey.
Look, we just sit here. Then the shipping to the US is much more cost effective and it's much quicker, and it's tracked door to door.
Come on.
It's tracked door to door. Tracked
Booyakasha.
from door to
to
door.
door.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, if you feel like buying stuff from the TPS store, it just got a little bit cheaper and a little bit quicker in terms of shipping, because COVID meant that a lot of the regional postal services had to put their prices up considerably,
Right.
and the postage rates, regular
Oh,
postage rates,
man.
just went crazy.
Yep, totally. The
So
surcharges were just
We
ridiculous.
feel very sorry for anyone whose business has been affected by that. Anyway,
Yep.
I'm now waffling.
Yep.
So yeah, it's a bit easier to buy stuff from the That Pedal Show store in USA, Canada, Europe, over there on the other side.
So has Fraser done a thatpedalshowstore.com graphic?
No.
Oh, Fraser. Can you not, if we put up the email address, can we just block the, I guess that won't work, will it? The event set. Okay. So that pedalshowstore.com for anyone that
Yes, that
just
pedalshowstore.com.
get some merch and stuff. And yeah, thank you to everyone that's gone to that. And
You can buy either of these T-shirts
Yes.
that Daniel and I are wearing.
Yep. Flax. Brilliant.
All right,
Thank you so much. Thank you, BV. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We had 1,100 people
that's amazing.
watching us waffle on.
No one even asked us about the video on Friday.
Yep. No one's noticed this.
Oh, people have noticed.
Have they noticed? I didn't
Yeah.
see. Okay, people have noticed. Okay, they hadn't let me down. That's
Or
really
the-
good.
The lack of tape.
The lack of tape. Yep. They look, and I keep doing this all the time because what they had to do. You see, this is the original arm, but this is the one they found that they could stick on. So at least it's sort of working, but I need some new glasses. So I'm going to go to that place that you recommended.
Yes, glasses online.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll help you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I'd need help.
I'll measure your pupils.
Thank you. Thank you.
With a compass.
Have a fantastic day. This week's show, we are going to show you our favourite amplifiers in the TPS studio.
10 favourite amps, no less.
Yeah, and it's fascinating. Number 10 will surprise you. Is that what they do?
Number 5 will completely blow your mind. You'll never guess what 58,000 people said about number 4.
But before we show you that, don't forget to like and subscribe.
Actually, I have thought about this. Catherine and I discussed it in the car about what if we had a playlist of overtly clickbait videos.
Okay,
Can we do that?
yeah, done. Done.
Let's see if we get like banned off of YouTube or something.
Brilliant, guys. Have a fantastic week. We'll see you Friday, and then we'll see you again next Monday for VCQ.
Yeah.
Thank you to everyone that's chimed in and all the super chats. We really appreciate it. Have a fantastic week. We'll see you soon.
Super. Thank you.
See you
Bye.
guys. Bye.